Hello and welcome everybody out there in Union Arena Land. We're coming back to you today with another deck tech video. This time we are joined again with Kyle from Universities, and we're going over the new Code Geass Ashford Academy. Well, not new, but Volume 2. This is a red aggro type deck that is startlingly very aggressive. It just began to get some more recognition after regionals, as it had a 16th place in our top 16. It is an amazing deck that, although aggressive, has quite a good skill ceiling and an amazing skill check against your opponents. Let's see how Volume 2 amplifies and elevates this deck to a new status. So, Kyle, let's start with the basics. What makes this deck different from other aggressive lists that we have in NA?
So we cap out at 4. That's our only 4 is our Suzaku. Everything else is 3 and below. Super important because Suzaku is just going to be where your impacts and when attackings get your multi-restands. The deck amplifies and plays on an axis of I can get up to 4 attacks, maybe 5, but I can guarantee you some of these attacks will have impact and make you sad. So that's super important when it comes down to this deck's core belief.
So who do you think this deck is better suit for? A newer player or people with more experience in UA? Skill ceiling to play this deck, you could hand this to a newbie and they'll most likely be able to do well. It's a very simple, make sure you have Ashford Academy and you see one not only in your energy line, and you go to the races. The deck spits out bodies like it's nobody's business. The sight alone allowing you to ready your character turn after turn after turn. Basically, after a certain point, you're just like, my hand's decently, AP extend, play body, Ashford Academy, restand, make you sad. That's just how this deck operates. Pretty good. So, moving right along, what is one of the most interesting parts of this deck for you? Is it its curve or its utilization of the site itself?
The fact that we can do a lot of things. You know, you have the Colin 0 costs. That you also have a Colin that's going to become a 4K. You have a Suzaku that's going to play a body that you can just instantly go into a raid to get that extra attack early on. There's no point in the match where you can't be hitting your opponent as early as turn 2, like hitting them for a bunch of damage. Because you do have access to these cards, it just makes your opponent be on this weird clock that they're not really ready for, and you can just be super aggressive. And then the fact of the matter is, House of Horrors' condition to actually kill something is basically if you can get your opponent to 4 life. How easy is that in a card game with 7 hits? You just hit them 3 times. Yeah. Likely you're going to get through.
So how about we go over the curve, starting from the low drops? You mentioned a few of these cards, but we see quite a few cards that don't have any raid status on them, and to most people looking at this from the perspective of playing other decks, it's not a raid target. Why is it in the deck? Let's go over all of that for them. So you already mentioned the Kalin, you already mentioned the Suzaku. What's the CC in here for?
So CC, again, like every deck that has a 0 cost cycler, draw, discard. That's her purpose in life. There is nothing else you need to know about her. She is either going to come in, draw a card early game, helps you filter, get pieces in your hand, and then lead into being the combos you need. She is very good at doing so, but they introduced something really interesting in the new set, and that's Gino Wimberg. Gino here says, when played, look at the top of your deck, then place it at the top or bottom or in your sideline. So basically, gives you another way of filtering bad cards that might not help you in the game. So now we went from having some sort of filter, you know, a small draw, to now actually having a top deck check. This allows you to apply pressure. Yes, we took Arthur out, which is the nullify impact to put him in, but him being in the list helps synergize more because now you can get a good understanding. And then like Suzaku is just your raid target. And then Colin's just in here because she is an act trigger and she gets to be 2000 DP.
So continuing up, we have the 1-drops. Now we're running 5 of these Millie cards. Can we go over what their roles in this deck are and how good they actually are for applying aggro in this list?
So Millie Ashford, there is one quick sec. Let me double check that. So Millie is, whoops, we need to make a quick change on that. Sorry, Millie. Because I made a quick change on it. So we do have only 4 1-drops. So okay. Millie Ashford is, when played, choose up to one of your other characters in the field that gains 1000 DP till the end of turn, which makes magic numbers, right? Because again, your opponent, if they start having 4Ks, you need to start being able to clear them. Again, your goal and objective is to, before they get stabilized, you hit them down to like 2 life, and then you basically play the game of, you're going to lose this trade every single time. So that is super important for this deck. And then we do have 1 Millie Ashford because they won't give us the anomaly that is busted for the deck. So she is standing in for being just a when attacking, draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand into the sideline. So, yeah.
Filtering seems good.
Yep. Now going to the 2 costs, we have the Amazing Sight as is. So play this set to active. Choose one of your characters on your field, 3000 DP or less. Ashford Academy that was played this turn, switch it to active. As long as you have 1 Ashford Academy up and your opponent doesn't have sight killing, you are most likely bringing them down to 2 in a couple turns. Being able to have access to play this character restand immediately is really good in a game that, has no summoning sickness, right? They just have suspend sickness. So as long as they're suspended, they're not swinging. Well, Ashford Academy gets around that. So you'll be unsuspending your stuff and making your opponent have a bad time. School Festival is just a card that looks at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal up to 2 characters with Ashford Affinity among them, add it to your hand, place the remaining cards at the bottom of the deck in any order. Just filter digging cards. Sometimes your hand needs a small refill and you don't want to waste an AP extension. Well, School Festival. Then we have Millie Ashford 2-drop. When played, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 event card among them, add it to your hand, place the remaining cards deck in any order. If you added a card in your hand, place 1 card from your hand into the sideline. This Millie has 1 objective and 1 objective purpose, and that is to get the House of Horrors. This is to basically, when you need to kill something that's in your way, this helps you do so. So you will either play her or the School Festival at times when you need to do a decent dig, and that'll help you out. But going into the last one, Sayoko, this is not only caretaker, she just has step and she's a big 3000 DP body. She does have a act trigger. Again, one of the big things I don't like about the deck is the problem child that is, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 non-triggers in the deck. That kind of hurts in my heart and soul, but technically this card is also 11, 12, 13, 14. The reason for that is red's color trigger sucks rear. Straight up, the only reason why this card is played in the deck is because it cheats out a character. This card is, when played, place up to 1 red character card with 2 or less energy requirement and 1 AP from your hand, set it to rested on the field, which combos with your Ashford. So that's kind of where you're getting these punches in, right? So yeah, the Suzaku, if it wasn't for the fact that, the color trigger in red, it sucks, because by the late game, you ain't doing anything to most threats. I have a 25k. This board of 4Ks just made you look sad and stupid. The same thing happens when blue, once you get to 4K bodies. They're like, yeah, this color trigger ain't bouncing anything, is it? Nope. But moving on, we do have the Nonally, which is one of the best cards. This card gives impact and a DP boost. So, you know, if that matters, you get that extra bit of damage because that impact comboing with the Suzaku is really good. We have the Colin, that's when attacking gain 1,000 DP for the turn. She is another body that's just going to hit hard. What matters a lot when it comes down to the late game is the fact that, you know, a lot of these characters, even like the Nonali here, she is strictly because choosing one character with 3,000 less DP, it gains 1,000 DP. You know, the whole deck is on that below curve. Your goal is to kind of stay on that because Suzaku is going to restand anything that is 3,000 or less. So this is where your multi-attacks come in from the Suzaku, and the deck is pretty strong because of these combinations that it gets to do while your opponent is just trying to set up. If your opponent doesn't play correctly, you will punish them like it's nobody's business. Again, opponents need to basically sacrifice energy line turns, which can lead to being bad plays, because again, if you can combo off and hit a couple turns early while they're still like setting up a little bit. Yeah, but one thing about this deck is you yeet the AP restand. There is no reason for you to be playing it in this deck. You play so efficiently that playing that card actually slows and hinders you down. Final trigger does not matter. You will live and die by the aggro.
Yeah, it is one of the few decks that, well, preferably does not ever have those finals in it because it doesn't need them. It gets to cheat out those APs, which is really nice by having the Kalin that puts something else, or Suzaku that puts something else into play. So yeah, you don't really need it for anything other than praying at your final life and just kill your opponent. I like that. I like that strategy a lot more. Blocking is for, well, losers. So moving along, Volume 2 brought quite a few new cards to a lot of the different decks, but this is not the one that's on everybody's radar. Do you think that these cards add more consistency than it had in the previous volume, or does it add more aggression, in your opinion?
Adds consistency. It's all it needed to do was, well, truly, to be honest with you, what it really needed to do was print the Nonali. But they did not print the Nonali because they didn't want the game, and we know why.
Yeah, that card is busted. Yeah.
But Gino being able to filter is super important, and it just gave a boost in the right way because the deck is still powerful at the end of the day.
So let's move on to the next segment here. If someone's picking up Ashford Academy for the first time, what's the number one thing they need to focus on while learning it?
Slam a body, slam a body, slam a body. AP draw. I mean, this is equivalent to helmet dot deck. There's not much combos you can do. If you see Ashford Academy in your opening hand, and because your curve taps at 4, and you have at least 2 zeros in the Academy, you're off to the races. There's very much little to no reason why you don't keep a hand with an Ashford Academy. Unless, for God forbid, you know, you have Ashford Academy, 4 Suzakus, and like 3 Nonalis, then you mull that. But outside of that, you really aren't mulligating that hand.
15 zeros, 5 ones, or 4 ones. You should never brick.
No, this deck, if you're bricking, I'm going to tell you this little secret. You quit card games if you brick with this deck.
Alrighty, well, I think that covers mostly everything. The one thing that I'm most excited to know about is, previously, Ashford Academy was kind of written off as a meme deck or a fan deck. Do you think that these additions, and especially the meta we are playing in, that this deck might be competitive enough to be a dark horse, or perhaps even just a tier 2 style deck that can aggro people down and kill them?
It's still rogue. It's always been rogue. It's just players don't want to commit to certain things. The problem came down to was its worst matchup in existence existed, right? The Code Geass purple. Purple existed, this deck cried every matchup it had. Because, again, players would play efficiently, and basically you were losing the lines pretty quickly. The problem comes down to is we're in a very removal heavy meta still going into this. And, you know, you do have to be playing smart against our good friend Roy. You can get under Roy, like you can. You just have to be fast. They will spit bodies out if they have to. So, but be ready to be putting out like 2Ks, 25Ks pretty preemptively. You can't give them the edge though. You really can't. So you have to be ready to keep hitting them. The same thing with just the purple decks in general. Just get under them as soon as possible, because once they stabilize, you're going to be starting to lead right into the back foot.
Yeah, it is the unfortunate circumstance of being aggro in Union Arena. But that covers everything we wanted to talk about for Ashford Academy. Huge thanks to you, Kyle, for breaking down the Ashford deck for us. Kyle, let everybody know where they can find your content and follow you.
On the UB-tubes, description down below, you know, the diddly doos and doodly dots. And then, you know, follow ProDMJoey as well, because he does amazing work as well. So, hopefully, guys, catch you in my videos, catch you in his videos. And yeah, stay safe, stay healthy.
Goodbye.